I want to be a sound guy that teaches people about mental health and teaches people techniques of how to like think differently. I'm not sitting in a suit. Like, you get these guys. There's a guy that I had in here, and he was like, you know, in the suit, and he was a therapist, and he had this business, and he's like, yeah, man, it's got to be fun, and blah. It's like, mate, that is so unrelatable to people. Like, they're in a dark place, and they're coming to you, and you're sitting middle to upper class, very unrelatable, in the suit, dressed up as the therapist, talking about, let's make this fun. And you're like, mate, like, be real, right? Like, get real. There's a couple of different types. There's people who are struggling with normal life. They don't have mental illness. They're not depressed. They don't struggle with anxiety. And they go and they speak to people, and you can make that fun, right? And you can be like, look, right, blah, blah, blah. Then you get people that come in that are like, I tried to kill myself yesterday. How are you going to make that fun? The sort of mental health community, I don't know why, but it's been very gate-kept by people. There's a barrier. First one's finances. Can you afford to go and speak to a therapist? Then the next one's relatability, like getting into a room with a guy that's, you know, never, you know, university educated, patronises you, tells you that your problems aren't real, it's just in your mind, blah, blah, blah. Whereas, like, I sit in a fucking tracksuit sometimes, and I'm just like, listen, mate, look, here's my story. And people find that really relatable. And then once you sort of break down that barrier of like, I'm going to speak to the therapist, like the school teacher, sitting there like, the head teacher's telling me that I've done something wrong. You get into this sort of like connected flow conversation with each other, where you can actually relate to each other. You can, and then once you gain that person's trust, you can go, I have got an idea of how we can try and help this. And then they're more likely to be like, right, I'm going to do what this guy tells me to do, rather than, you know, how does he fucking know how I'm feeling? He's never been through what I've been through. And the mental health sort of therapeutic community traditionally has been that, you know, glasses at the end of the nose, like Sopranos.
It's the look a lot of therapists give into it, where they're like, you can't, they can't tell if you're. It's almost like, I feel when I've spoke to quite a lot of therapists, I'm like, stop analysing me so much. Do you know what I mean? They just look at you like that wee head tilt like that, and I'm like, stop doing that. just speak to me normally, because it makes me uncomfortable. It makes me feel shown, if you know what I mean, that you're like looking at me, even in that wee slight tilt of the head. But the reason I came to you, I was in Australia, I googled like therapists, and it's just like, you can even just tell looking at Aussies like how many of them have their parents have 2 or 3 houses, right? I know, like, you know, and I that might sound judgmental as well, right? But I know I'm not going to be able to relate to someone that's like had a sheltered upbringing, especially in Australia, right? These guys talk about like hardship and all that, and you're like, man, I just can't relate to any of your hardships. But I was like, who's going to understand my upbringing, or like my mum being on benefits or whatever.
Yeah, 100%.
And from Glasgow council estates.
Lived experience is mega important. Mega important. There's other crucial factors like education. I'm not, like, before anybody, I'm saying like, you know, university educated and blah, blah, blah. I'm sort of painting the picture of like a middle to upper class type person, that traditional sort of therapist, like the doctor. Whereas now we get way more people that are just normal people, because the gates have been opened through necessity to people like me that were working class. I went to university, like I've got 2 degrees, I'm university educated, which actually caused quite a lot of like, no trauma, but discomfort in who I was as a person. I turned up my matric card for my first year of uni, I was wearing a Brazil trackie and like a France hat. And I can remember like going out in that first break, and I had a pre-rolled like hash joint. And everybody was just, not everybody, like, because you're at uni, but a lot of people were just looking at me like, and I literally had like,
where is this guy from?
But I was a 17-year-old for the East End of Glasgow that just happened to get the grades that enabled me to get into this life, right?